Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Two Average Brown Rose podcast. I'm your host, Brashank,
And I'm your host, Andres.
and today is Monday, August 2nd, 2021. Andreas, what's happening, man?
Man, it's already August. We're more than halfway through the year of 2021. What is this? Like, where has time gone? I feel we're still stuck in 2020.
Right? And it's crazy. I think we've already had so many episodes, and we're 6 months, 5 months, 6 months into our podcast, and it's been such a ride. We've gone through so much changes in our lives, but it's been so much fun. Yet it seems like we're still stuck in 2020. So it's pretty crazy to think
I
how,
know, right?
yeah.
So, how's life? I know, you are over down in the States. So, how's life continue to be down there?
It's chaotic to say the least because, the COVID Delta variant is ramping up. So kind of getting worried. But for the most part, we're trying to stay safe as much as we can. Washington, D.C. recently mandated a mask usage again. So, if you're within Washington, D.C., you have to wear a mask pretty much everywhere you are. But the rest of the places haven't been too bad. But I was reading that Florida, the COVID variant has been booming there pretty bad in Florida right now. So,
Man, it's Florida. It's just that's all that I'm gonna say.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's one. I just wanted to point out that, in the recent episodes, we haven't really done what have we learned, but that's because I think both, like, I don't want to speak for Andreas, but I will be speaking for Andreas and me both, saying we're both on the move and we're both having chaotic lives. So we've been doing more of a catch up with our listeners rather than learning right now. Is that fair to say, Andreas?
I think that's very fair, man. Even though we both value learning some stuff every week, I think right now what we're learning is to be able to survive as adults.
Exactly. So I know both of us have, you're in Montreal, I'm down in the States. It's been chaotic, but it has been fun. And last week we caught up with the listeners saying how we're doing and what we're doing, the changes in our lives. Do you have any other updates for us, Andreas?
No, man. The only other update is it's been a week since I arrived in good old Montreal in Quebec, and it's been great. I have my moments in which I just miss Sask so much. Um, but there has been things that they keep on happening in Montreal that I'm just like, I'm meant to be here. It's not to sound, I don't know how to say it, but it's just like little things that happen every day um, that just make me feel like I made the right choice. So, been life is good, and I'm excited to keep on exploring and gaining weight because I've been eating nonstop.
Honestly, I feel that recently I feel like I've put on a few pounds since I've been down here, going to different restaurants, trying new food, making food at home. It's been I agree with you on that.
I know, right? It's just, uh, you know what, man? It's okay. We'll lose it. That's eventually.
Eventually, keyword.
That's why I said that.
So, Andres, before we move on to the main, part of this episode, I want to ask you, what are some cool things that you've done in Montreal so far besides moving in, and what are some things that you miss about Saskatchewan?
Well, I think I'll start with the sad part. So things that I miss about Saskatchewan. I miss the people. You know, moving into a new city, of course, like you have to make friends and all of that. But I had my social circle set up in Sask for such a long time, so definitely missing the people. Just missing sometimes the calmness of a small city like Saskatoon. But things that I've gotten so far over here in Montreal, um, I've been exploring my neighborhood a lot. It's a very convenient neighborhood that I'm in. So I'm just exploring what's pretty close by, walking distance. I've literally, Montreal is such a walkable city. So, walking everywhere where I can. Riding the subway, I missed it so much. I missed a good transit system. And other than that, spending a lot of time by the Lachine Canal and by the old port because they're walking distance from the apartment. So basically, that's a lot of what I've been doing on my first week. For the next couple of weeks, then we'll start exploring a little bit more of what Montreal has to offer. How about you, Brishang? What, like, you went down to Atlanta, you came back up to Washington D.C. What's been up this week for that?
Yeah, it's been super fun. Mostly just exploring the area, spending time with my girlfriend and her family, meeting her friends. We actually drove up to Ocean City, Maryland, which is when there's a huge boardwalk there with different shops, different food places, like amusement park, like styled um, rides and arcade games, and it was super cool. It was very, I got very like Vegas vibes just because the atmosphere of it, not just because of the gambling and stuff, but more like just the atmosphere with the people walking around on the boardwalk is a lot of fun. And then we went to the beach. I haven't been to a beach since last summer, so it was really nice to just be on the Atlantic Ocean. Very salty water, mid-sized waves, but it was a lot of fun. It was really packed, but we were in the water, tried to stay safe, and even the upcoming weeks are going to be super chaotic because we have lots of plans, but we'll save that for later in this episode.
Sounds good, man. So I think we caught up enough with our listeners. I think it's time to get started with our main section of the podcast.
Exactly. So today is going to be a really cool and interactive episode because we do have a special guest. The special guest for today's episode is none other than my girlfriend, Agrima Podell, who's here with us.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Agrima, how's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
Good.
So, Agrima, tell us how we've heard from Shank a little bit of how's life so far in Washington, D.C., but we want to hear from someone that has been there for a while. So, how's life for you in Washington?
It's going well here in Washington. With Prashant being here, it's been a lot of fun. I've been getting out more than I used to. During COVID, I've just been staying home. I used to live in the city, in the suburbs with my parents recently. And so it's a little bit more isolated out here. But with Prashant visiting me, he's kind of pushed me to go and become a tourist again. So it's been fun.
Hey, there's nothing like being a tourist within your own city. Always be down for that. So, you mentioned that having Brishang there has been something nice for you. So, kind of like, what, how is it to have him around? Because I know what it is to have him around 24/7. We live together, like not entirely together, but in the same place. So, how has it been for you?
Oh, he has so much energy. I don't know where he finds it, but it's always so much fun. He's always super bubbly, willing to do crazy things, always wanting to have dance parties. We went on a walk today and it started raining, and he just had the best time while I was miserable and cold.
I'm definitely now blushing.
No, absolutely not. Why would you? All right, Agrima. So, with that, tell us a little bit about yourself. What is it that you do on your day-to-day life?
Well, Andreas, I'm 26 years old. I live in Virginia, so Northern Virginia. I'm very close to Washington, D.C., and I'm an environmental scientist. So during the day, I just work from home like everyone else. My job's a little unique in the sense that I have a lot of field work. And so even during COVID, it's been nice. I've been able to get out into the field. And other than that, I'm a big foodie. So I'm always eating out with my friends at restaurants around here. There's so many options. And there's always new places popping up. And so whenever I have free time, I'll go meet up with my friends and try a new restaurant.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that we've actually done a lot, just trying to get out because, we've been stuck at home forever. We're both vaccinated, fully vaccinated, wear masks when we can, but we've been going out to for me, I tried Korean barbecue for the first time and the food was good. Would I go very often as as much as other delicacies such as sushi or tacos? Probably not, but it was a really fun experience.
Hey, that sounds lovely, man. And were we synchronized this week to try Korean barbecue? Because I also went for Korean barbecue over here.
No way.
I'm not joking. I'm not making this up. I went for Korean barbecue uh, with someone I met over here. And yeah, so even from apart, we're in sync. That's
Oh,
incredible.
definitely.
All righty.
So, Agrima, I know, like, we've been together for almost 2 years now, so I know a lot about you, but why don't you tell some of our listeners your life story, where you were born, where you went, where you are now? Tell us all about.
Okay, Rashank. So I was born in and I lived there until I was about 5 years old. And from Nepal, I moved to New York City. My dad was doing a master's program out in New York, and he moved my family out there. I lived there for about 2 years. And from there, once my dad graduated and got a job, we moved down to Northern Virginia, and I've been here ever since. I went to Virginia Tech University, so no, I didn't leave the state for university. And then as soon as I graduated, I got a job up here, and I've been here since.
I know, like, I wanted you to tell that story was because, if the listeners remember, my story is very similar to that. And, I was born and raised in Nepal until I was 6 years old, moved around, but, so the similarities between me and her, you'll notice it as the podcast goes on, as the episode goes on. So, just be on the lookout for that.
Yeah. I think one of the things that we realized when we first started dating was we also traveled to the same places. It was really weird, but we would be there a couple months apart or a year apart, but we were on the same path, never crossed.
Hey, there is something about to be said. I don't know if it's destiny or whatever, but when some people are meant to be together before you actually meet or things like that, there's certain parts of your life that you actually have already crossed paths with them,
Interesting.
and then you realize that later on that like you guys like similar family stories, similar places, so you were already crossing paths before you even knew each other, which is another topic for another day, but that's incredible. That's amazing. So Agrima, being kind of like for you, if you can tell us a little bit, what's one of the main differences for you, like moving from such a busy city, like New York, into the suburbs of the Washington D.C. area?
One of the biggest differences was just how isolated it was out in Washington D.C. in the suburbs out here. When I was in New York, I was able to, I was still young, so I'd have to be with my mom wherever I went. But we were able to walk everywhere. The transportation's really good out in New York. If I wanted to go to the library, my mom and I could walk there. If we wanted to go to the grocery store, we could walk. And then once we moved to the suburbs, we were kind of just confined to our house. My mom didn't drive when we first moved out here. And in the suburbs, it's kind of difficult to walk to the grocery store or to the library or even to the movie theaters. So a lot of what I did, it ended up being in the house. So that was one of the biggest differences. I went from being outside all the time to being inside all the time. And then, but a good thing that came out of the suburbs is all my neighbors, and I had all the friends I made in my neighborhood. In New York, you don't tend to have friends in your neighborhood because everyone's just kind of, focused on themselves, doing their own thing. It's a busy city, but out in Virginia, I had a solid group of friends that I made as soon as I moved out here, and we'd go outside, we'd play a lot. Yeah, that was one of the big differences.
That does sound incredible. And I mean, every city has something different to offer, so that's
Yeah.
great. So tell us a little bit more. We heard from Prishank, kind of like a little bit, kind of like what life in Nepal is. Uh, bro, from your end, what was it like to be raised for part of your childhood over down in Nepal?
From what I remember, it was it was pretty interesting. I mean, I think one of the things that I like the most about being in Nepal is just being around my family, my grandparents, and all my aunts and uncles. So moving out here, it was also, I didn't get to see them as often. And so it's isolating in another way where like your family's so far. You obviously love them and everything, but it's weird to only be able to see them, once a year or like twice a year. I'm sure you can relate. I don't really remember living in Nepal since I was so young when I moved out, but I do visit quite often. And so it's kind of a different life. It's a little bit slower. It's nice to relax. And it's nice to be around family and friends.
Oh, I bet. I'm pretty sure, like you mentioned, like you were pretty young when you were there, but you still remember some of the things. And it's nice to visit family, though,
Yeah,
Nepal is quite a distance away
it is.
from over here.
Yeah, so as you mentioned earlier, I know the questions are hopping all over the place, but Andres, has his questions that he's coming up with, and I have questions I'm coming up with as we move along. But hopefully, the listeners are liking that the change of pace. But my next question is: you said you went to university in Virginia Tech. So what did you study? Where you work now? And of course, like if you can't divulge into details, just give us a basic outline of it.
Sure. So I went to Virginia Tech to get a bachelor's in environmental science. I was really drawn to environmental science starting in high school. We did these biology projects my junior year, and I decided to go and study pesticides and their effects on crickets. And all of my crickets ended up dying. They kept dying. And I was like, why do they keep dying? And it's because of all the chemicals and pesticides. And I was like, why are they putting this in the earth? And so that kind of led me down the environmental science path. I wanted to be able to help stop global warming and climate change and save the earth. So that's why I decided to go with that major. And it's funny because I thought I would graduate and be out in the world, like saving it. But instead, I'm out here being a consultant right now. After college, I got a job with AECOM, which is an engineering firm. But I'm an environmental science for the company, or environmental scientist for the company, sorry. And now I basically just work a lot with permits and policy. My company gets hired by other companies to write permits for them, having to do with environment and pollution and everything. And I'm usually out in the field just doing inspections, making sure no one's polluting the earth.
That sounds pretty fun. I love field work. Even when I was working with the Ministry of Highways, we had lots of field work, and I really enjoyed that. But there's another thing that I want to ask. I know the listeners probably don't know this, but agreeing what you did, me and Andres, we always try to relate things back to Canada because that's what we call home. You do have a personal story about Canada, right?
Oh, yes, I do. When I was a junior in college, I actually took a undergrad research internship over the summer, and I was actually in Athabasca for 3 months. I was studying peat moss. So I was out in the bogs, and we were studying just forest fires or bog fires and carbon flux. So the amount of carbon that was coming from the peat bogs. So yeah, I'm used to Alberta. I actually lived out there.
The Texas of Canada.
Yeah, it's definitely a culture shock. I mean, I was in a town, I was living in Athabasca University, but I was doing work for Villanova University here. And I was in a town of 2,000, and I was probably the only person of color in that town. So it was definitely very interesting. It was a big change, but I enjoyed it.
So I'll follow up with that, I guess. You lived in Canada for 3 months at that time, and you did, in fact, visit us too. You did meet Andreas back in December when you came to visit me. What are your, you haven't been there too long, but what are your initial thoughts about Canada?
I guess my initial thoughts about Canada, the west side of Canada, with Saskatchewan and Alberta. I was really shocked at how flat everything is. You can just stand in one place and see miles and miles and miles. That was probably the biggest change because Virginia, our topography is pretty hilly. We're right on the mountains. But other than that, I mean, similar things are too, you know. It feels like you haven't left the country. And, I'll be walking down thinking I'm still in America, and then something weird will happen. I'll be like, oh yeah, wait, I'm not in America anymore. But yeah, I really enjoy Canada. I think it's beautiful. To see Jasper while I was in Athabasca. So that was a lot of fun. I went backpacking there. I'm hoping to get back out and see Banff soon.
100%. We definitely need to take you there.
Yeah.
And, one of the last things on this subject is, when I took you to the University of Saskatchewan, where both Andres and I went, you said it's very similar to your university.
Yeah, University of Saskatchewan was actually very similar to Virginia Tech. We have similar buildings. All our buildings are made of stone. We call it Hokie stone because our mascot is a Hokie. Kind of looks like a turkey. But we call it a Hokie. And if you ask me what's a Hokie, I'm supposed to say I am. But yeah, we have Hokie stone. So the stones were similar. But one thing that was really interesting to me is at the University of Sask, you guys had tunnels connecting all your buildings. And we had those exact tunnels at Virginia Tech also. So you never had to go outside. You could just go from building to building through those tunnels. Those tunnels weren't present in the whole university, but definitely we had tunnels in my college, which was the College of Agriculture.
Yeah, Andres, I'm sure you can relate to this, but with those tunnels, we use those every day. Even in the winter, going to classes in our shorts when we got dirty looks from the people that didn't live in res.
Hey, it is a lifestyle, it is a mood. And if people are going to be jealous about it, I don't care. I'm wearing my flip flops to class.
I'm with you on that, bud.
But that's incredible. And it does sound like your passion for environmental science. It can be such a little things that inspire what we want to spend the rest of our lives, doing. So just a trick question, Agrima. Is global warming real?
Oh, of course it is.
All right, so for everyone listening out there, you heard it for an environmental scientist. It is real. Global warming is a thing.
Remember, you're supposed to use climate change now. Global warming, people say it's not
Okay. We'll rephrase it.
Climate change.
Agrima, is climate change real?
Yes, climate change is real.
There you go, everyone. So yeah, so kind of from you talked a little bit about being on the field and the dynamic of all of it. So kind of for you, as you continue to talk and do all of this work, what is Grishang and I love talking about kind of very far along our lives plans and what we want to do with them. So for you, what is it that you want to do with that environmental science part of your life?
Ooh, that's a good question. Right now I'm working as a consultant. I don't see myself doing this forever. I like it for now, but I'm hoping that a couple years down the road, I can move on so I can kind of get have a little bit more hands-on work, helping out with climate change and natural disasters and, anything that this world throws our way. I think as the years go on, natural disasters will be getting worse and worse. So I want to go towards maybe planning for those natural disasters so we can provide relief to everyone that was affected.
And that's great. No, that's amazing. And I kind of for that, it's just it's, I think for everyone listening out there, it's just whatever you're doing right now, some that's what you're living, get the most out of it, but always looking forward to having something else
Yeah.
that you're aspiring for, which is great. And I mean, it is great that the work that you're doing and the kind of where you wanna go. It's pretty cool. I know like Rishank said, we've met before, but it's just so nice, like hearing you out and talking a little bit more rather than on the personal side, like you, talking about you on your professional end and getting to know you a little bit more.
Yeah, it's been really, really nice. I'm so thankful that you guys invited me out here to talk on your podcast. I'm a big fan. I listen every Monday.
There we go. There you go. I hope everybody else listening listens every Monday. But that's great. So, kind of like moving a little bit from your professional and academic side, I know you mentioned you like being outdoors and going to restaurants and trying, and you're a big foodie. So, you should be mindful of your answer, Agrima. I'm just gonna say this. But what's your favorite food?
Ooh, my favorite food, I would say, if I had to pick a cuisine, my favorite cuisine is Thai.
Okay.
Hands down, no competition. I love Thai food.
What is it that you like about Thai food?
I think I like, that spicy and sweet mix. And so I think, Thai food does that very well. So I love drunken noodles and I love pad see ew and I love pineapple in everything. I'm a pineapple on pizza type of girl. So I love pineapple in my fried rice too.
That is not well. Now I understand why you're with Rashank. So lovely. So moving on from that, so like in terms like kind of like outside, is it like do you what is it that some of those activities that you enjoy doing?
I love going hiking. I'll say I'm not at the level of Rishank. I can't keep up quite yet, but I do love being outdoors. I love to travel. So if there's something out there where that involves me traveling and eating food, I'll be happy.
That's amazing. Well, Rashank, I'll pass it on to you.
If the listeners, again, I'm going to point out, we do have a lot of similarities. Of course, there's major differences too. Like, we'll go into this in future episodes, but like we come from completely different like lifestyles and backgrounds while having similarities in so many things. But some of the things that really brought us together was our passion and love for eating, traveling, and learning. So if you haven't checked out our website, it's eattravellearn.com, eatravelearn.com. Check it out. We have photos of our food adventures, traveling adventures, learning adventures, and Argument does love to do makeup and just be on top of that glam stuff. So I'm gonna let her talk a little bit more about her makeup passion.
Oh yes, I am very passionate about makeup. I have an Instagram that I dedicated to my makeup looks. I haven't been updating it too often, but it's at Glampu, so GLAMPPU. Yeah, I just was drawn to makeup early on in high school. I started experimenting, and from there, I just loved painting my face. I loved trying out the latest makeup trends and, putting on eyeshadow and contouring. And I got quite good at it at one point, and so just kind of became a passion for me.
Yeah, I know recently you've kind of slowed that down and I've tried to push it. But, COVID has been made everyone's life busier, but I hope you start that up again soon.
I know it's been, I haven't been doing makeup as often as I used to because, I've just been working from home and there's no real motivation to get ready and go outside. And once things started opening up, we had to wear a mask all the time. And, my makeup just got all over the mask. And so I kind of gave up on that too. But I'm hoping to get back into it because it was a passion. It made me very happy like that. It was a good hobby. And so I'm hoping that in the next few months, I'll be back on that makeup game.
Absolutely. And, that's a good, you brought me to my next question, which is COVID. Like we started this podcast at the 1 year mark of COVID, and affecting our lives quietly. And most of the time in the past year, we always focus on the negatives of COVID. And, we all know the negatives, the lives that we've lost, the people that we love and, have gone through the effects of COVID throughout the world and, pretty much shut down everyone's, world one way or another. But, today I'd like to focus on the positives. So Are there any positives that you gained from the 1 year, 1.5 years of COVID that we've lived through?
I moved back home during COVID and I got some extra time with my family. And so my sister and I and my parents, we got to live together again for a few months, which was a very big positive. We did a lot of things as a family. We cooked together. We learned how to cook different dishes. I got really into cooking during COVID. I learned how to make many dishes. I learned how to make different types of bread. That was my obsession. So I made bagels and croissants and biscuits, any type of bread. And my family and I, we actually even started gardening and growing our own vegetables. So it was really nice to have that extra family time, and it was nice to grow my cooking skills.
That's awesome to hear. Yeah, and you know what? You're a pretty good cook, so you learned quite a lot, and you'll still learning. Another question I have is, with your work and personal life, would you say that you're pretty happy in life overall? Is there anything that you would, maybe go back in time and change something about your life, or you're pretty happy with your life so far?
I believe everything happens for a reason. So I don't really like to look back and say what if. What happened happened, and all you can do is move forward. So there's nothing that I would change.
That's some solid advice right there, because you can't change the past, and
Yeah.
if you dwell on it too much, you're going to be caught in the what ifs, and you never want to be caught in the what ifs, because like you said, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Life moves on, you learn and you live and you learn, and
Yeah.
you work towards your future.
Yeah, and dwelling on the past, it only takes from your present, right?
That was
That's
so beautiful said. That is literally like, like if someone has said that to me in university, I would have painted it and put it on a wall. Just
There's still time.
I think I moved on from that part of my life in which I had like, the typical live, laugh, love things going around my apartment.
Oh,
I
I
think
think we all had that.
yeah, I think yeah, we all had our moments. I think we moved on from that. But no, you definitely put it like on such a nice way. Uh, if anything, when looking back in the past, it's just for reflection. There's no, like you mentioned, no dwelling, just reflecting on what we can moving forward. What will like what other decisions can we make for our future, but not in the past because I mean, unless you can time travel, we cannot really change it.
Yeah, exactly.
absolutely. Yeah, so rapid fire questions coming at you. What's one food that you really want to eat right now?
Cake.
She says, as we've just had some cake.
I want it on ice.
What's something that you're looking forward to in the coming months?
Going back to Nepal.
Hopefully the lockdowns ease up. I think
Yes.
Nepal has started to slowly ease up, but that'll be a lot of fun. You can see your family. Your mom's been back in Nepal for a couple of months now. So
Yeah, my mom went back in May and she's been there ever since. So be nice to see her again.
another question coming at you. Who are some of your best friends? Shout out your best friends right now. I'm putting you on the spot.
Oh no, I can't do that. They're gonna listen, and if I forget somebody, they're gonna come after me. I have way too many best friends to count.
That normally
You're my best friend.
there you go. Okay, to be fair, let me give you a story on that. Like most of the time, if someone were to say that to me, I would say that's a cop-out answer and being super diplomatic. And as most of our listeners know, and both of you know, I don't like those kind of answers, those cop-out answers. I like people that are straight up and honest with me. But with her, I 100% believe that, just because I've been here long enough. I've known her long enough to know that she has so many friends, and all of them are such a tight knit, group of friends, that if she were to say a bunch of names, that she forgot one or two that were slightly on the outer circle, they would definitely be mad and like call her the instant this episode dropped. So I'm not gonna put her on the spot like that.
They would come at me over the ranking, who I named first and who I named last. So I'm not falling for this one.
Okay,
Prashink just likes to stir the pot.
I'll give you a pass on that. Last question for me is, what's your favorite season, and what's your zodiac sign?
My favorite season is fall.
Why is that?
Because I would say spring, but allergies just kill me in this area. I have really bad allergies. So I'm gonna go with fall because I like temperate environments. I don't like it when it's too hot or too cold. And so in the fall is just the perfect weather. You know, you can wear a sweater, but you can be outside. You don't need a jacket. It's not snowing.
I mean, no one likes winter, right, Andres?
Oh
I
yes.
mean, I do love autumn as most, but like I prefer winter over summer sometimes.
Summer is way too hot. And then what was your last
What's
question?
your star
Oh,
sign?
what's my zodiac sign?
Yeah.
I'm a Gemini. The nice Gemini. Geminis have a bad rep.
They do. We do have a bad rep. Welcome to team.
See?
You're part of Team Gemini, Agrima.
Yes.
No.
Team Gemini, but the cool ones.
Yes, the cool ones.
Those are the questions I have for Agrima. Andres, if you have any other last questions for her, put her on the spot because I can't do that. You have full permission.
Perfect. I'm glad that I'm a border away, so I can ask whatever I can.
Borders opening soon.
Okay. It's still a drive, or at least a plane ticket. So, all right. So, favorite color.
My favorite color is purple.
All right, cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Well, there you go, guys. You heard it from Agrima. Dogs are better. um,
Sherlock likes to hear that.
yeah, Sherlock does like to hear it. All right. Oh, mountain or the ocean?
Mountain.
City or the countryside?
City.
And finally, what is your if you are a drink if you drink, what is your go-to drink? If you don't drink, kind of like what is your go-to beverage of choice?
Ooh, my go-to drink is wine.
Classic. Good Gemini knows the good answers in here. All right, I think that's everything from I and Brishang.
Okay, I actually thought of one last question. I want to, because I really want to put her on the spot, so I'm going to put her on the spot before we end it. So, Agrima, tell us a controversial take that you have. You can take your time because Andres will edit this part out.
I mean, a controversial take if I'm in Canada is that I don't really like poutine.
That's okay. I feel like the rest of Canada will agree with you. I don't know if my Quebecois population that I live now in will be okay with that.
I think she also said she liked America more than US. She liked America more than Canada, which I was hoping she was going to say because considering we're both Canadians and she's American, but she didn't say that, so.
Hey, that's okay. We have Trudeau as our prime minister, so and we have a healthcare system. So
we're winning on a lot of sides, so we don't need to flaunt it too much.
we don't need to count our
There's
wins.
good and bad on both sides.
We're not gonna count our wins in here. We'll do it on another we'll do it another episode.
We'll be here forever. We'll be counting the W's forever.
Exactly. Oh, that's amazing. Well, Agrima, it was amazing to have you in the podcast. Not only because you're Brishang's girlfriend, to get to know you more on a personal side, but also to get to know a little bit more about yourself and kind of like who is that person next to Brishang that I've known him for a while, but that in a certain way drives him to be a better person. So it's nice to get to know the people that surround us and that our listeners are able to not only listen to us all the time, but also hear from those that are important and special in our lives.
Oh, thank you so much. And thank you so much for having me on here. It was a lot of fun. I was really nervous going into it, but you guys made it a lot of fun.
Andres, I'm going to put you on the spot. Give her a grading A to F on how well she performed today.
She actually was, Agrima, whenever Brishang is busy at work, if you want to co-host with me, you're more than welcome. So.
I'd be happy to.
Already being replaced, huh?
No, replace. I said when you're busy with work, she can co-host those episodes.
Perfect.
But no, thank you. And honestly, you're welcome. You're welcome in this space anytime.
Yeah, thank you so much, Agrima, for being on this episode. This was just one of our first episodes with having a guest on, and it was honestly amazing to have you. Like I said earlier, maybe it's the bias in me, but it was such a good episode and such nice talking with you. We will definitely have you on future episodes to talk about your environmental science background and sustainability, because I know that's one thing that we've been wanting to talk about, and you are an expert on this, so we're looking forward to having you on more.
Thank you.
All right, Andreas, what are you looking forward to this upcoming week, man?
For this upcoming week, what I'm looking forward, keep on exploring the city. It is summer in Montreal, so gonna make the most out of that. So I'm really excited. I think this week I'm gonna venture more into the downtown area, um, and yeah, just explore a little bit more on that end. Finally, start getting probably some furniture in here, and really practice my French. I think that's something that I'll keep on looking forward to, is using more of my French. And but slowly, I think things are getting pieced together here, which makes me feel very comfortable. So I'm excited about that. How about you, Bishang? What are you excited about?
This week is gonna be kind of all over the place because pretty much last minute my cousin up in Boston, she's having a baby soon, so she invited us up there. So me and Agreement will be both visiting her for this week, just a weekday. She has the whole week off, but we're busy Saturday, Sunday, so we'll be flying up there Monday morning when the episode drops, and then coming back on Friday evening. It should be a good time. I haven't seen my cousin since she actually came to my graduation at U of S in the summer of 2018, but then I visited her in 2019 winter for a couple days. But it'll be fun. She's super nice, and I'm looking forward to meeting her 2-year-old son, her husband, and the baby that she'll be having in a couple months. I think she's having the baby in December, January time, so it should be fun to catch up with her again, and looking forward to just being with my family.
That's amazing, man. And honestly, I mean, what a great time for you to go and to visit your cousin and wish her nothing but the best on the new baby that is coming to form part of this world. But that's exciting. I think we both. I think even though waking up and saying summer looks a little bit different, I'm glad that we're making the most of it for Shank.
Absolutely. And you know what? It is summer, and gotta enjoy summer. Gotta enjoy doing the things that we love. But also just staying safe as always. We have been practicing and preaching that for 5-6 months now. Just staying safe, being healthy, and taking care of one another.
Exactly. But I think other than that, that's the end of our episode for this week. So once again, we want to thank Agrima for being part of our podcast and sharing her life story and her passions with us. And thank you for every single one of you that comes and listens to us, either right on Monday when we drop the episode or later on the week, because podcasts are there forever, so you can listen to us whenever you want to. But thank you once again for everyone listening. And we said we were going to bring people in, and we're starting to do that. So once again, reach out to us either on Twitter or on Instagram if you want to be part of the Two Average Brown Bros podcast. And we'll definitely bring you in, and we'll talk of whatever you want to talk like it. But yeah, that's it for this week's episode.
Exactly. So if like always, if you have any comments, concerns, or crybaby stuff, you can reach out to us on our Instagram page, the Two Average Brown Bros podcast, or our Twitter page. Reach out to us, or if you would like to feature on future episodes with us, shoot us a message. Let us know you want to be on, and we'll put you on. Whatever, like Andre said, whatever you want to talk about, we'll definitely do everything to accommodate it, and we'd be more than happy to have you on. We'd welcome you with open and warm arms.
That's it. And other than that, we'll catch you next Monday. Bye.
See ya.